Good afternoon, good day, wherever you may be in the world. My name is Dan McCormick, the ambassador to the Augmentino Company, the host of the Greatest Salesman podcast. It is going to be another riveting show, another extraordinary guest, the greatest salesperson in the world. She's Margie Aliprandi. Margie, how are you today?
I'm doing awesome, Dan. It's so great to be with you.
Super San Diego, California. Such a beautiful community. I'll never forget. I want to say Scott Schwartz introduced us years and years ago or something. Yeah. And it is just so great. I want to let everybody know, if you're new to the podcast, this is episode number 44. And so you can go to thegreatestsalesman.com to listen to any of the previous podcasts, any of the previous interviews with 43 unbelievable people, unbelievable record-setting type people, the greatest salespeople in the world, that have all found what I found as a young man when I read this book at 19 years of age. It was really the first book I really ever wanted to study and learn. And it took me a long time to get through the Greatest Salesman Scrolls, the greatest secret in the world. But it's a philosophy for living, right, Marjorie? It's a philosophy of life. It's a deep dive. And really, the title doesn't really do it quite justice, because the greatest salesman in the world comes out through individual your own growth. And it's just a fascinating thing indeed. And so if you're new, if you'll like the show, feel free to comment. Italy, we welcome you. We hope you're having the greatest day of your life. Scotland, we hope you're doing fantastic. Vancouver, it's great to have you. But like the show, comment on the show, leave a rating on the show, a review on the show, I should say. Feel free to share the show today. Feel free to text people right now and tell them we got one of the greatest salespeople in the world, and she's Margie Aliprandi from San Diego. Margie, what I love to do at the beginning of every show, before we talk about all the stuff, I love to just, from a time value proposition, say, what are the three things you think that have shaped your life, each and every day of your life, to put you in the seat of the greatest salesperson in the world?
As in things I've learned, or just overall experiences? Yeah.
Things that have shaped your life.
So I have to start with my parents, because I know how fortunate I am to have had parents that just poured into me from such a young age. I mean, literally making me know that I could be, do, or have anything that I put my mind to. No negative money messages. Like, I don't ever remember hearing we don't have money for that, or money doesn't grow on trees. Like, none of that stuff, none of the negative money messages. And so I believed them. I believed them that I could be, do, or have anything in life. And then I was blessed because particularly my father was very into personal development. And he introduced information to me when I was 9. And when I was 9 years old, he gave me a reel-to-reel copy of Acres of Diamonds. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this is big people stuff. But as I listened and became enwrapped in the idea that we have the power, we have the power. We create our lives. We create our lives with our thoughts. We are the creators. Like, even at 9 years old, I just, I fell in love with personal development. But I do think it's that foundation. Granted, there's always personal development to unravel negative money messages. But I am so grateful that my parents both always just made me feel that there was abundance and that it was mine for the asking, for the taking, and the doing. So that would be number one, my amazing parents.
So good. I love that so much. I have not talked about Acres of Diamonds in some time, but it is the place to start with anybody. It is so good. Russell Cromwell, I think 1910, maybe it was written. So that is a beautiful memory on what your parents did for you, and not only how they led you there, but you soaked it up.
I was like hungry for it, almost voracious. And to this day, personal development is a part of every single day, significant part. It's a total core value of mine. And, you know, just even revisiting Greatest Salesman, wow, just I am hungry. I'm hungry for this. And my parents planted that in me, along with that belief, right? At some point, we're the sum total of our beliefs, and our beliefs become the lenses that we look at the world through. And having parents that taught me or had me believing that I could be, do, or have anything I set my mind to, the greatest gift. It was the greatest gift of my life.
Well, just listening to you describe number 1 out of 3, I know why you are in this chair today, because I always feel like there's somebody in our path each and every day that needed to hear that. And regardless of where anybody is at in their journey, no matter what they sell, no matter what kind of aspect of their life is in turbulent times or in blessings and abundant times, that's a beautiful thing to share. How about the second thought?
So I actually have 4.
Oh, good. Good. I love it.
Sorry. So I had made millions of dollars actually before I learned this. But when I learned this, and not just learned it in my head, but when it became like in every cell of my body, everything changed. And that is that this is a business of service. So many people are plagued by fear, and fear of, success, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of all of it, right? And we can only feel fear if we're afraid our agenda is going to be disrupted. In other words, when I can't even believe that I was so many years into my business before I actually heard somebody say, who do people care about? Well, guess what? Themselves. Whose agenda are they on? Theirs. So until we know what somebody wants, we can't possibly serve them. And so everything began to change. And actually, even at first, I was probably just learning how to sound like I was not on my own agenda, but on their agenda. But when things really shifted, any fear just drops away, because service doesn't have an evil twin, right? Fear, non-fear. Service doesn't have an evil twin. And when it changed everything for me. First of all, I began asking a lot more questions rather than speaking so much. My whole initiative was to understand that beautiful soul in front of me, what their hopes and their desires and dreams were. I just wanted to know for them. Then maybe I've got something that could be a solution. And it just shifted everything. That cliche that we say a lot, that nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. When you truly get to a place in your business that you share because you're, like I'll say it in my case, the modern Santa Claus. Or the new Santa Claus. When you really come from that place, when you come from that place of knowing that you have the gift and you're just looking for those that are looking for you. And so it becomes more about an interview process and learning about them and seeing if you can serve them in some way. Everything changes. You, my friend, are the new skin Santa Claus, right? Hi, the modern Santa Claus. Right?
Yes. That is such a fabulous paradigm to come from. I hadn't thought about it before like that, about the fear and the agenda. And I really appreciate you sharing that. I love these comments that are coming in. Blanca, hello, saying hello to Margie and I. Fred Elias, who's a previous.
Hi, Elias.
We've got some really super high achievers chiming in here. And it is so good to have everybody. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. She's Margie Aliprandi, San Diego, California today. We've talked about 2 of the first 4 things that have shaped her life. Not 3. She's going the extra mile with 4. But number 1 was your parents. Number 2, the business of service. I just love that. I was in San Diego, California with our great friend John, the guy that was in the movie The Secret. I can't remember his name right now.
John Ashraf.
John Ashraf. I was in his office.
Yeah.
And I remember looking and making a comment, and he just said, service. Serve many people. You can be the richest person in the world,
Yeah.
So that's a beautiful paradigm. How about number 3?
So number 3, I learned this one very quickly in my business. And I would say like the one about service, that definitely ties into I will greet this day with love in my heart. If we're going to let's kind of make a parallel between the scrolls. If while you're talking to people, then I'll bounce to the next one. But if while you're talking to people, I silently do. And it was so interesting to revisit the scrolls and just I will silently say, I love you. I didn't remember that from the scrolls, but I do that. I look at them and in my mind, I'm saying, I love you. I will serve you in any way I can, so that the vibe of becomes a very encompassing one. It changes the dynamic of salesperson, client. It just changes everything when it puts everyone on the same team, right? When you're there to serve. Okay. So the next one, oh my heavens, I learned this really early on. And this one kind of ties in with I will persist until I succeed. I will persist until I succeed. Right away, I did a very smart thing. I made a whatever it takes decision when I planted my flag with this company that I have been with for 32. It'll be 33 years, my dear Dan. It'll be 33 years in August. I've been with this company. And when I planted my flag, I made a whatever it takes decision. That meant that no matter what, no matter how many times I fall down, I was going to get back up. And so I learned this so quickly because it was a new company. When I joined this company, it was kind of 3 steps forward, 5 steps back, right? They were doing $28,000 a month worldwide when I joined them within 1 year. We were doing 1.4 million in my group, and I was just a newbie, didn't know what I was doing. But what I learned is this, that there is a sowing season, in Bob Proctor's words.
Yes.
There's a sowing season and a reaping season, and they are not in the same season. Wow. And all we can do is the planting. That helps me today. This perspective, once you learn these principles they're not theory for you anymore, but when you know this in every cell of your body, business becomes easier, life becomes easier, it ripple effects into everything in your life. There is a gestation period for all things worthy. And it's an incubation or gestation period. You can't expect that you will plant a seed today and yield a harvest tonight. You also cannot expect that you will plant one seed and feed your family forever, right? So this whole law of the harvest, that there is a sowing season, a time to plant, and a reaping season, a time to harvest, that they don't come in the same season, has been immeasurably helpful for me to keep a long perspective. Don't go too high when someone says yes. Don't go too low when someone says no. Great things, and even now, the universe is conspiring for your good if you will stay in action. So that's
so. Just love this. I love this. I feel like our audience today, if you're live with us, by the way, we love your comments. Give us your feedback, where you are, where you're from. If you're first time, let us know. But I love the comments because I feel like that you are just so on point. And principles, Og says at the beginning of the book, only principles endure. And you're so principle centered here. I just feel like everybody needs to hear this message. And I wonder if Amanda, my producer, would put up Fred Elias's last comment here. I want to just show what a greatest salesperson in the world does. The one where he lists all the names. I want to show you what the greatest salespeople in the world. He's tagging his leaders or his new distributors and saying, "Hey, you need to be hearing Margie because she's."
Way to go, Freddie! Way to go, Freddie!
I mean, you're talking about Freddie was probably podcast guest number 10 or 20 or something, and I've known Freddie for 30 years almost, but. I'm just saying this is what great leaders do. They always resonate. They have the abundance mentality. I love how you said the sowing season and the reaping season are different.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you go through, I'm sure up here in northern Idaho where I'm at this year, we're kind of in drought conditions. The farmers may not have the crop they hoped.
Yeah, right.
So they have to do it again.
Yeah.
And again and again every single year. So
Well, and haven't you just had in your own experience a million, like the number one thing that keeps people from succeeding in our business, I believe, is the desire for immediate gratification and not knowing that just that next person, right? Just not going long enough. Like I tell the story 15, 20 years ago of a guy in my downline that was originally on my team on the 5th level. Gradually over time, something happened. Maybe their product shipment got messed up or a check was not quite right, or who knows what all. But over time, all of the people between he and I quit. And then he took off. And I remember looking at the volume there. And those 4 or 5 people, those sorry folks that were too short-sighted to stay, just stay. If they had purchased a tube of toothpaste and just stayed in the game, they would have been making $10,000 a month, right? You never know. And so this is, right, I love sprint and I love fast and I love taking this business fast, but I also realize that you need to have the long-term perspective and know that beneath the soil, even now, those seeds are germinating. You can't see it yet. You just keep going 1 foot in front of the other and plant and plant and plant, because that's the only thing you can control. You can't control which seeds take root, but you can plant. And I promise you, because this is a law of the universe, the law of the harvest, that if in fact you plant a lot of seeds, your harvest cannot be prevented because it is an eternal law.
I hope everybody understands that your enthusiasm 32 years plus later, I'm at 38. And I just can't see retiring from this, because I see your contribution. I see your love, your passion for people, your energy. I feel like we're jumping through the screen here. So I'll calm down a little bit, but I'm just fired up. Okay. How about number 4 before we pause for a moment?
So number 4 is the key. If we're to say that in terms of vibration, right? We all know that we're electromagnetic beings. Our thoughts are things. When we have a thought, we put out it literally goes into the world and finds a match, right? We know these things from our personal development. If love is the highest, right? Gratitude is the key. If love is the highest, most amplified, exalted emotion, and I believe that it is, then gratitude is the key. And the way that this applies to the business is, number 1, so many people that are building, and maybe they have kind of a small business, or maybe they're just getting started or whatever, they not enough their business. Their team members aren't enough. Their volume isn't enough. They not enough it. Versus being grateful. Do you realize nobody owes you anything? If you don't truly serve people and find a desire in them that makes them want this, right? And then be grateful.
It's heavenly.
Gratitude. I just learned that whatever the stage of development, people need to be grateful for everything they have and everything they are, and their team, however small it is, because gratitude brings more of the same, just like any of these other beautiful things we aspire to. And what I've learned in my own just management of emotions, if I'm feeling frustrated or blocked, maybe even angry or something, I can't necessarily jump to the 180. If I'm super upset about something, I can't just go, it's okay, right? You can't just go the 180. But what I've learned I can always do is I can go to gratitude. And in that moment that I go to gratitude, everything shifts. And so whatever stage you are in your business, be grateful. Be grateful for the people. If you have 3 people on your team, be so grateful that they said yes to you, that somehow they saw through your eyes something that's going to bring them what they want, closer to their dreams, right? So, those are my 4. Hi, Karen.
Oh my gosh. I feel like you got 5, 6, and 7 in you too.
Yes, baby.
That's so good. I always love it when people start off with their parents. I mean, it's obviously a very real thing. It's something that you can really feel the genuine authenticity. My mom was similar to you. My mom, whenever I asked for money, my mom would say, "You better make a lot of money when you get older." And
Yeah.
I just knew I was going to make a lot of money. I mean, my mom said, "You better make a lot of money." If she said it once, she said it a million times. So I love that. Let me just pause and welcome everybody in. If you're new to the podcast, my name's Dan McCormick. It's been an honor. Episode number 44. Margie's just lighting up the screen, dropping some absolute truth bombs, some principle-centered leadership stuff. It is just awesome. I mean, I see Lorraine up here on the screen. Wow, wow, wow. She's going, wow, wow, wow. Margie's amazing. So great. But on behalf of the Augmandino Company, let me just say that everybody's today live watching us on Facebook. If you've thought about being better on Facebook, why not hire the greatest coach on the planet? It's built into the Augmandino Company. It is called habitfinder.com/social VIP. You'll see it across the screen. The Augmandino Company sponsors the show, and we use a white hat hacker, a literal guy that worked at the DOD, worked in the White House, and coaches you how and why algorithms work, why you post, when you post, why you don't comment, and why you do comment when you post. They told me at one time, Margie, that I should be doing the show, Margie, at 11 a.m. on Wednesdays. They said the algorithm was better at 11 a.m. And I said, 11 a.m. doesn't work for me. So we have to make 2 o'clock.
Yeah, we have to. People will respond. They'll follow you, Dan.
Happen, but
people will follow you anywhere, Dan.
People will follow because we have great, incredible guests like the greatest salespeople in the world. Margie, let's come back to, I know I asked you when was the first time you read the book. Maybe you don't have clarity, but you shared with us those early books like Russell Cromwell and, Acres of Diamonds. What an incredible story.
Yes. Greatest Salesman, Think and Grow Rich, all of them.
Yeah. And so I want to ask you, one, do you have a program or a systematic approach to how you give gratitude each day?
I do.
Can you share?
The first thing that I do when I wake up in the morning, even before I get out of bed, because I don't want my first thoughts to be about everything I have to do. That'll take care of itself. I put my hand on my heart and I put one hand on my belly and I just kind of breathe, and then I let the gratitude just flood in. I start by just saying I'm grateful for my family, and just because some of the obvious things, almost like a prayer, but it's not asking for anything. It's only about thanks. And then I start getting more specific and more granular. I then record at least 3 every single day in my notes. In
your journal.
In a notes section, yes, I have at least 3 gratitudes, and then, but I say dozens of them when I'm just laying in bed, because I want gratitude to be the first emotion that meets my body, my brain when I get started. And then I also have my to-dos, my intentions for the day that I put in my notes in my app. And then I have something I call a turnover. And what I mean by that is that most of us have something in our life that we're working or we can't, or an issue we can't solve, or a system we're trying to figure out, or somebody that needs help on our team, or like there's something that just is keeping us a little stuck. Also, first thing in the morning and at night, I turn that one over to God. This is my turnover. Please bring inspiration throughout the day to help me solve this, right? So every morning, before I even wake up, I'm doing gratitudes in bed. Then I get up and I do my morning meditation. I do a little book reading. I do a silent meditation. I'm studying the Course in Miracles right now, which is kind of interesting. It's been on a bucket list for a while. And anyway, I have things I read every day. And then I record them in my notes, and then I do that turnover. And watch how through gratitude, intention, and a turnover, the inspiration that comes in. First of all, you're at the highest amplitude because you embrace gratitude. Second of all, your intention, you know what your intentions are. And then the hard stuff, you just turned it over. Watch how the answers and the inspiration come to help solve the turnover. Yeah.
I love it because you don't know this about me, but every when first of all, I will greet this day with love in my heart is my first thought each morning.
Yes.
That's just because I didn't have that. Dominic, thank you from that. That is such wonderful guidance he's saying to you. Thank you, Margie. So today I'm looking at the scrolls and I'm thinking, I have no idea where Margie's going to go, but I highlighted something I had not highlighted in this book.
Yeah.
It's scroll number 10, the salesman's prayer. You just touched on some of these angles, and I want to read just this one little paragraph and see if this resonates with the audience. I ask not for gold or garments, Og says in scroll 10, or even opportunities equal to my ability. Instead, guide me so that I may acquire ability equal to my opportunities.
Wow.
I just thought of that. I highlighted that today.
Is so good.
When you said that, and I think everyone will be blessed for reading that and listening to your words here today.
Well, thank you. Go ahead. I was just going to say, talking about like perspective, some of the things. So as I revisited this and revisited the scrolls, first of all, I guess I'm just profoundly struck by how relevant this information is. You can tell by the setup, that this was created in a day when there were traveling salesmen, not when you could build the most giant global business in the world from the palm of your hand, right? Because of the sacrifices that are talked about. But I guess one of the things that was really, that struck me first off was that Pathros, when he's talking to Hafid, and he's giving him the challenge, right? He's giving him the challenge, giving him the coat, says, go to Jerusalem, sell this coat.
Yeah.
And then of course, Hafid is tormented with all the fears. And, it's just so wonderful to get inside his head. It's like, well, that's every day in the life of a network marketer. Yeah, those are the fears. So real. But then what I love, this touched me so deeply, and it ties back in with my service one, is that he returns thinking he's failed, of course. Yes. He returns thinking he's failed, and he is given the scrolls by Pathros, even though he's never sold a thing, because his heart was right. Pathros knew, I rest my case on the service thing, my friends. Yes. If you want to abolish fear and you want to be unstoppable, recognize that you're only looking for those who are looking for you, that you are a servant, like truly care about humans and what you can do to make their life better so that they live a healthier life if you sell health products, so they live an abundant life if you're about the opportunity. Like when you come from that place, you don't need to have sold a thing and you're already right. So that, I just thought, that is so cool. He never made a sale, right? He gave the robe away and he gets access to the scrolls because his heart was right.
Man, was it ever. You just summarized that so beautifully. And you and I, like, we haven't hung out a lot over the years. I've been on one of your shows, we've talked occasionally. I bought a product or two from you over the years. And I just love that in the beginning here, he talks about that I have always counted your friendship as my greatest asset. How do you go about staying friends with the thousands of people on your team now?
I think that, thank you to this
yes.
and the ability to send a voice message. I guess, so the ones of the my favorite scrolls that I starred did not include that last one. I love it, but I didn't include the last one. But along those lines, if we're praying for guidance and we're truly coming from, I greet this day with love in my heart, and I want to serve, use me for whoever crosses my path. And if you have that attitude, this is actually a Wallace Wattles thing that I will, every person who crosses my path will be better for having known me. I will offer a smile, a hug, a word of encouragement. So I think and how do you do that when you have hundreds of thousands of people? First of all, you just pour into people every single opportunity you get. You just be quick with praise. The minute that you notice somebody doing something positive, announce it, like celebrate them, say it in front of the team, acknowledge them. And then, you know, quite often I'll get an intuitive hit about someone. It'll just come to my mind sometimes out of nowhere. And then I'll be able to just send a voice memo. Oh my gosh, you were just on my mind. So I think this enables us to scale and to really be there. And I mean, bottom line is, when you really care about people, even if you're spread pretty thin, they know it, right? Like people know if you really, really care about them. And then the relationship has the foundation.
People can feel it. I mean, you have Shar right here talking about it from Toronto. I had to take some time to help in the yard today, but this was scheduled. Let's go back to Fred Elias, his last comment here. I think, and we're talking about a 7-figure-a-year guy right here. We're talking about a Greatest Salesman podcast.
Congratulations, Freddie.
Here he is, the best I've ever been on. Margie, you are one amazing woman, and that is so true.
Thank you.
And, you know, we put him up earlier because he was sharing to all of his teammates that the art of recruiting and promotion is always being abundant mentality, saying, hey, we can be inspired by this. We can learn by this. We're all in the same industry. We know that the world of direct selling is one big, big place.
Yes.
And it is amazing that you were able to sign up in one company only in your life. And I got to take my hat off to you.
Isn't that crazy? I know.
You know, because it wasn't always easy. Talk about how did you get through the tough times? There's been some deep, dark times.
You know, we've had enough conversations through the years. And then, you know, we just both know each other's history a little bit. Yeah, there were definitely challenging times. Some that just happened because the business is what it is, and then others because the previous ownership, and, you know, just some things. How do I get through it? I had made a decision, right?
Yeah, you told us that.
I'd made a decision. I made a whatever it takes decision. And then also, you know, I looked at the compensation plan that we had. I looked at the products we had. I'm like, it doesn't get better out there. Like, where would I go anyway? So, it just, you know, there were times when I definitely had to pause, kind of lick my wounds, regroup, rebuild my heart and my passion. But 7 years ago, we got a new private equity owner. And where we've gone now as we transitioned, I was with this company when it was called Images. I was with them the entire time when it was called New Ways. And when we transitioned to Modere, which is the company now, all of the things that I've waited for my entire life really started coming true. Like a management team that really does abide by core values and that really does collaborate with the field, and some new thinking around how to help everybody win. And I'm having like it literally pinching myself the very best days of my life.
And I wrote that word down. I just wrote that word down because I remembered that word. And I don't know if we've talked about it until you just said it. I wrote it down before you said it because you said, I just love how many people are winning.
That's it.
So many people are winning. And if you've got the right systems in place, the right product company, mission statements, and all the things with the management team, everybody's going to win. There doesn't mean there's not going to be dark times, but
yes,
rich content.
You know, I'm doing a lot of business in India, and right now
I interrupted you this morning. You said I'm on with India.
It's okay. You're never an interruption, my darling. And so part of it is keeping their spirits high. They're in a very horrific, that never before and probably never again in any of our lifetime will anyone experience what they're experiencing in India right now. And so one of my guys, I was just pouring into them about how no matter how dark the night is, there's always a morning. There's always a dawn. Nothing, no pain, no hardship lasts forever. There will be light again. And this is such an incredible, when things are tough, you have an amazing opportunity to be the light, to be the beacon, to shine bright anyway. So, yeah, sometimes it's darkest before the dawn, but
yeah.
I'm just so grateful that as a little girl, all those years ago, I'm not even remotely that same person. I've grown so much. But anyway, so grateful that I said yes. So grateful that I stayed. So grateful I'm still here. So grateful that we're having the best days of our lives. Like
I'm so grateful you said yes to come on the show. I'm just This is great. I'm sure that the owners of the Og Mandino Company today are going to just love watching this episode later.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's conclude with this, because it's an interesting question when you think about, I've been at it for 38 plus years. You're going on, I think I'm almost 39 years. You're almost 30 or 33 years.
33, yeah.
We got a lot of years, a lot of water under the bridge between the two of us.
Yeah.
How does Margie want to be remembered?
Oh my gosh. I guess I think about this a little bit more than I have in the past, because I remember the day when I thought to myself, so far I have lived longer than I will yet live, unless I break all kinds of crazy records with longevity, right? And so, first of all, I feel like I've been able to leave a global legacy. I'd love to share a story if you feel we have time.
Please, let's do it. Let's do it, please, because we talked about this.
So, yeah, I want to leave a global legacy of love. I feel like there are a couple of reasons that I'm born. One is that I've got a passion for health, and I want to truly help everyone live well in their body, right? Like that's a deep passion of mine. I'm passionate about ingredients in health products, and I've just been a student for 40 years. So I want to help people live well in their body till my last breath. I also have learned that entrepreneurship changes lives, and I do want to share this story. Please. Entrepreneurship changes lives. When you can help someone take control of their life, whether it's a mom in Africa that we've helped through our philanthropic work while she establishes a micro business. So philanthropy, right? Paying it forward. These are my three things I want to leave a legacy. And I have already to some degree. So let me share this story. So what we talked about at the beginning of the call, or the Zoom, we talked about the reaping and sowing season, right? There's a sowing season, a time to plant. There's a reaping season, a time to harvest. They're not in the same season. So in the early days of my business, I didn't necessarily have the money to travel and to seed my business. So if I had somebody in California that asked me to come and do a meeting, I would drive. And I would sleep in so I couldn't afford to fly. I'd sleep in hotel parking lots, and then I would go to gas station bathrooms to curl my hair, electric curlers, and then I would throw on a dress and go off to do these meetings, right? It was my whatever it takes decision. I wasn't sad for myself. A few years ago, someone interviewed me and said, "How did that feel, sleeping in your car?" And honestly, I knew what they were getting at, but my answer was, okay, fine. Like it was not a poor me thing. So within 1 year, I was making more money in a month than I could have made as an entire year as my junior high school music teacher, Now, a couple of years in, I'm invited to go do a meeting in New York. Totally making really good money. I'd made my first $1 million by the time I was. I am able to fly. I'm in just so amped up about this because I'm from Utah, and going to New York's a really big deal. Like I was intimidated a little bit. On my way to the meeting, our cab driver got lost. My cab driver got lost. We didn't even have the big old brick Motorola's. Like there was no way for me to call, and I was just sweating bullets. We finally arrived 25 minutes late. I walk into this room and people were just irritated, fanning themselves. And I very quickly, as you might know, gave the little dog and pony show, company products, compensation plan timing, and then just said, I just wanted to like fall into the center of the earth and disappear. Well, here's something incredible. A Russian gentleman came up to me. I didn't realize this was just right about the time of the breakup of the Soviet states. And he came up to me, grabbed my hand, and he said, I'm taking this to Russia. At the time, I had quit listening to people's words. I just didn't get inflated when people said, I'm going to bring you 1 million people. I'm like, yeah, let's go do it, right? I'm just waiting. I'm going to here to support everyone, but I'm waiting for actions. Words don't excite me anymore. But I'm like, yeah, I patted him on the back. So didn't think anything else of it. And within a few months, I started noticing these names: Igor, Svetlana, Pizarevsky, Valentin, showing up on my printout, Roman,
I love it.
And so I thought, I wonder if this is that guy. Let me move quickly through this because I know we're getting short on time. But bottom line is that region grew and grew. One man, one meeting. The region grew and grew and grew. I had business in Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Ukraine, Latvia, Lithuania, all over the place. Places I wouldn't have been able to find on a map prior to my network marketing business. So at one point, I ordered my entire downline printout. See if you remember these. Remember that green and white paper that bifolds, 50 names on each side, perforated on the edges? Remember that?
They were great.
I ordered these giant, my printout came. I pull this thing out of the box, lift this hefty, stands like 9 inches tall. I flip it over where the total number is, honey, over 1.5 million people.
Oh my God.
1.5 million people from one meeting that I thought was a flop. Now, the legacy piece. 4 or 5 years ago, I was in Bulgaria and we were doing a great celebratory event with all of the people in Eurasia. They'd come from all over the place. And I was speaking. I walked out onto the stage and a mentor of mine had said, before you just launch into your speech, every now and then, just pause and take it in. So I looked at this vast arena of people. And as I looked into even some of their faces, Dan, I said to myself, what if I'd quit?
Wow.
But I didn't. So I spoke the following night. We were celebrating the business having been in that region for a couple of decades. At about 1 a.m, they bring this giant cake, like body size, life size cake, out on the stage. They invite the children to come to the stage. Honey, 150, 200 kids filed onto that stage. And I was a sobbing mess. I thought, I started this business for 4 children. Now, look at all of these children whose lives have been impacted by entrepreneurship. I don't know any of their names, but the ripple effect, the legacy that can come when people stand tall, when they take ownership of their life with this amazing business. There is a sowing season and a reaping season. They are not in the same season, but the harvest is assured. So that is just my all-time favorite story for the rest of my life. Entrepreneurship, helping people live well in their body, and paying it forward with philanthropy. These are my purposes for the rest of my days.
Wow, wow, wow. One more time on that first million. How old were you?
35.
Okay. I just can't believe how much fun I have celebrating the success of the greatest salespeople in the world.
Oh, you do, Dan.
Of so many people that either, put it in their calendar and say, hey, the Greatest Salesman's live at 2:00. I'm going to be there. Or they see it on replay. Hit hashtag replay if you catch us later on. But Margie, we have filled up a lot of cups here today. And I hope that no matter when anybody gets a chance to listen, live, tagged, messaged a month from now, 6 months from now, or 6 years from now, I hope people will leave a comment. If you want to find Margie Aliprandi, you can go on Facebook and find her. You can message her. You can definitely say hi, congratulations, and give her a big hug, a big high five, and thank
I love it.
Her contribution.
Find me on Messenger.
Yeah.
Yes.
So much fun. Find her. And I don't know a lot of the people that are sharing today. I'm seeing a lot of names. Pam, it's great to have you, and Robin and Phil. I mean, I've known Phil for years, but just honestly, amazing what we've been able to share here today. The genuine, authentic feeling that if Og was here today, he might just simply say,
well done.
Well done. My servant going out to make other people's lives better. That's what he lived for. And I can feel that that's what you live for. And I'm thrilled that you took the time to be with us here today. I can't thank you enough. And I certainly want to thank all of our listeners. And I want to thank our producer and everybody that makes this show possible. Everybody go out and make this, as Og would say, twice in the book. You can find this twice in the book. He's going to say, have the best day of your life. And bye for now.
Make it the best day of your life.
Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.